Wednesday, you guys. Alrighty. I have such a special guest for you guys. She is so successful. It's going to be
Hi.
Hello. That was like the fastest time I've connected someone.
Well, I go live with Danny like once a month, and it's taken us some like learning ourselves because every time we do it, we have to. It's the same way. You have to like get on. One of us has to start, and then has to send it to one person, and then we'll send it to the other. And if we dare to do it differently, it does not work.
Facts. Well, see, that's why you're an expert.
It's been a trial and error.
And sometimes Instagram just does its own thing. It's just like,
Sometimes it really does. So, like here lately, we didn't realize like the way you start it will kick you off at an hour. So like sometimes you have to like do it differently, and we are like, I did it the wrong way. It's gonna kick us off at an hour.
You're like, talk fast.
We're already here now.
Okay, welcome to Let's Go Live. I'm Gigi Meyer, and I have with me contemporary romance author Mollie Goins. Welcome, Mollie.
Hi.
I have been so excited to talk to you because I've been stalking you online, and that series of you is wildly popular. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this release has really been just like, it's blown my mind how well it's gone.
Well, we're going to get into that
Yes.
because I think like all of us fellow authors are just like, how do we get the traction that Mollie has?
Oh, it's a battle.
No pressure.
But we can dig into it.
Yeah, so starting at the top, why romance? Why contemporary romance? So tell everybody what this series is about. It is, I love the premise, but maybe all those that are dialing in do not know.
Yes, so my first series, this is like, it is from start to finish. Kristen, hi, my sweet Kristen. So it's a three-book series about three sisters. One of the things that I always like to talk about the sisters are like inspired by the relationship me, my mom, and my sister have.
Oh.
We are extremely, extremely close. It's always been the three of us growing up. So a lot of, and I like to say, a lot of the stories that the sisters like have are stuff that's actually happened to me, my mom, or my sister, or all three of us together. So like some of the funny things that they do are true, and some of them, have happened to each of us. And I think that that's always a fun thing to talk about. It's especially funny when someone's like, this isn't believable. And I'm like, it actually happened.
Funny you mentioned. So
Why do you mention that?
No. So is your mama a single mama?
My mom was a single mom my entire life. In book 3, yeah, she's incredible. Book 3 is a single mom rep. Mm-hmm. And so like each of them kind of have those little aspects of, us.
Yeah.
I don't see the characters as like me, my mom, and my sister, but they have like a piece of us in each book, which I think is always really like nice to talk about.
I love
and represent
that. Oh, no, I mean, that is so sweet because I do feel as though when you have, I'm one of 4 daughters, and so by the time you get all of us together, sisters and moms just have like a special bond. Yeah. And so it was just a single mom and you guys, I feel like that brought you so much closer together because you see the struggles. You have like a front row seat to like life and all of its challenges.
Yeah, I mean, she was a single mom practically from like till I was out of the house. So
self-sacrificing.
Yeah. Well, she's a great mom, and she always jokes that she gave me plenty of childhood trauma to feed my books, and I'm like, it's okay.
Okay, so I have to ask, does your sister and your mom read this series? It's called Aster Creek series for those that are just dialing in. Do they read it? Do they recognize who they are in the books?
Yes, so they'll read my books. They say that they'll read Spice, but they're like, when it's from you, we skim it.
You're like,
And
ew.
I'm like, that's fair, that's fair. They do know who each one is inspired off of.
Okay.
And so they obviously really like that. The second one is actually straight dedicated to my sister. And so she holds that one pretty near and dear. It'll be her favorite till the day she dies, because in the front it says, like, dedicated to my sister. So I think she has it like proudly displayed at the front. She has all three, but like that one's in the front.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you are book 1, and your sister's book 2,
Yep.
and your mom's book 3.
Yeah. So each of them have, like, the first one has like a mental health rep, and that's something that I always like struggled with and like really worked through. And then my sister, who is probably one of the strongest people I know, is an essay survivor. So book 2 has an essay survivor, and then book 3 is dedicated to all moms, because also it was going to be straight to my mom, and she does know that it is kind of a dedication to her, but we are both all 3 moms in a different way. So it kind of went into all of us and then I was like, this is for every mom ever, because it's so hard.
Oh my gosh, bless your heart between what you've been through with the mental health and then your sister being an essay survivor, one of those silent warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine, like, because it's so traumatizing. And I do write that also. I've done a lot of study on it. So bless her heart
Yeah.
for being so strong. And then to be able to read herself in that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said she cried,
That?
but she actually really loved it, because it was something for years she never wanted to talk about, and her growth and her strength as she's grown she's like, I want other people to feel this like confidence, and so she actually really, really loved the fact that Waverly's story was very close to like hers.
Oh, I mean, she's an overcomer,
Yes,
right?
she sure is.
And I feel like if you can overcome something just that horrific and traumatizing, I just feel like you can survive anything. That's one of the fears as women. That's one of the things that is so scary to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just unfair.
Yeah. Yeah. She's incredible and she's amazing. So
Sounds like all you girls are strong women.
we only had each other.
Okay, so
we had no choice.
So sweet. So I noticed your the last book, Your Mama's Inspired by Your Mama, that just came out this month.
It did. It just came out the 9th. So, goodness, I don't even know what day it is. Today's the 22nd. Yeah, almost 2 weeks ago. Almost 2 weeks ago. That feels crazy.
So now that they're out in the world, is it a trilogy? Does it end with you 3, or is there going to be spinoffs? Is there going to be another series?
So next will be like a different series, but my idea for books moving forward is essentially the whole world is interconnected. So like you meet the people that are starting the next series in book 3. It will be like interconnected on the side. So like you don't have to read this series to read that, but if you wanted like to see where they originated, like you could see that those characters are there, and then the characters in book 3 of course will be seen in the first book a little bit too, so I think that's fun. Eventually I would love to have a spin-off series, because there's some side characters that everybody really loves, and I definitely see stories for them in my head. But I'm very much a mood writer, and so I have like the ideas written out, but the one that I'm going to do next, it's a baseball series, is just the one that's like wanting me to start. So that's what that's what will be coming next.
Okay, so to kind of unpack that a little further, the baseball series is going to be in the same small town with people that have already been introduced?
No. They'll be, so if you read book 3 also, you'll kind of see what happened, not to give it away, but so in book 3 the MMC is a baseball player. and he has obviously his team. It's kind of his teammates, but his teammates get traded to a different team. That's not really a spoiler, but a little bit. But it doesn't impact the plot. But they'll be moving, so it's called the Boston Blues series. So the next book will be the baseball players that were his former teammates in their new team.
You're getting some love in the comments about that baseball series.
I know everybody is super excited for the baseball series, and I'm also very excited.
Okay, so the baseball series,
yes,
that will be what you write next, but then you'll take a step back to the small town and pick up the characters in the third book to write a totally different series?
So the characters that are in book 3 are participants in like the Boston Blues series.
Okay.
They're like close with the MMC or the MCs in book 3. So for those that have read book 3, they will see Jet and Wyla in the next series a little bit because they were so close. Like they'll just call, like if you do read it at the end, they explain kind of like the overlap in their time, because obviously the extended epilogue kind of shows them a little bit in the future, and they mention a little fun time they had with said former teammates. So
booking it with Olivia, I'm so excited for it. Can't wait to see how they're going to be threaded in.
Yes. So essentially each one will just have Easter eggs. So if someone picked up the baseball series and they read it and then they were like, oh, who are these Jet and Wyla people? There's they won't impact the plot, but then they could go back and realize, oh, they have a book too. I want to read about them.
That is so smart. I love interconnected series because you always want more. Readers always want more, and that's so smart.
The world itself will be somewhat interconnected, and you'll have these little Easter eggs, and you're like, oh, that, I thought these people were really cool. Okay, well, you can go read them in this series, and, like each way won't impact your plot at all. Yeah. So if someone says, I only want to read the baseball series, they're not going to have any problem with that whatsoever.
Well, I mean, Taylor Swift has Easter eggs for all of us.
Yes. That's what I'm pulling out a little bit. Inspiration.
A master at it. Excuse me. I lost my voice earlier today, so I'm surviving off cough drops.
That's okay. I'm my son started preschool, so we're all a little bit in the coldish. So I'm drinking water because
I know
we're all feeling the same.
Yeah, when your kids go to school, they bring everything home, and you get it. Yeah. Okay, so where are you at in the baseball series? Have you started writing it, plotting it, planning it?
So it's plotted. We're in the first draft section now, which is the worst one for me. I actually posted a thread about this today. It is my least favorite part of my whole process. From the sitting down to plotting it to all the way to the end of pushing schedule publish is the first draft. I cannot stand my first draft. I know it's supposed to suck. I'm fine with it sucking, but I hate it. I hate that stage.
Okay, so for those that are wanting to write, maybe not necessarily authors, I feel like authors understand how brutal first drafts are. But for those that are inspired to write, that are listening, what is the most difficult part of the first draft? Is it you get the dialogue and the narrative isn't there? Is it the tension isn't there? The plot holes are there's plot holes and inconsistencies. What about it is so challenging for you because you already have 3 published works and they're very successful. So when you say I hate it, what does that mean?
So I think I really found this process with Despite It All, and to see that the way I revamped my process when I realized I needed to work on things and seeing those changes work, I think that was really great. When I get into my process, this might help make sense.
Because I want to stop you right there. It's so good because as authors, that debut novel is so different from book
It
3. And then we
is.
learn as authors, like what kind of author we are, our style, what works for us. So take us from where you started to where you're at now.
Yeah. So when I started with Feel It All, I had always kind of, I always get this, I've always kind of like wrote a little bit. And like, if I did kind of like short little things, mostly kind of with my mental health, it was a lot of journaling, like my day and stuff like that. And it was kind of a very good outlet for me. Yeah. And then, so after having some health issues, and I started to actually want to do it seriously as an author, because it had always been a dream of mine, and I just thought that was the silliest thing. My husband really encouraged me. And so I had got started and loved it. But the thing is, you start, and I had no idea about this industry. Like, I didn't know Bookstagram was a thing. I didn't know any of this stuff. So for me, I was a bit of a pantser, and I just kind of wrote. Now, I feel like my debut, I still love my debut. Do I think it's the best book I have? Absolutely not. But I feel like every author would also kind of agree that their debuts.
Every last one on their debut.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
okay. I mean, there's great debuts. There's great debuts, but you're going to write more books, and you're going to learn more, and you're going to feel better and more confident. And that's just how it goes. So I kind of did that when I published book 1. And then, really bad, I read my reviews. I read them.
I do too.
And I saw that these things. Yeah, I know. I don't blame people who don't. I do. I do stop after a little bit, because eventually you kind of get into, the more reach you get, you kind of get into the more followers that kind of just meander their way into your audience, and they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, Molly, you have to have thick skin and come with a glass of wine, because you'll either laugh or cry.
You'll laugh or cry. And I think that really came into, I know Kristen's probably watching, and this has been my whole motto that has made this work for me. You can control it or you can't. And reviews you can't control. You cannot control them. So if you can't control it, why let it control your happiness? The ones that you get, the bad reviews, they're like, I hate this trope. I didn't hate this, or I hated this book and I hate this trope.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about those. They're there. They're fine. You have, 10 5-star reviews compared to that one that hated that trope and knew anyways. But, those 3-star reviews sometimes hold good merit in some points when they're repeated. So I kind of looked into those, and they were like, some of this stuff just didn't hit home for me, or like some of this stuff needed polish. So I worked on that. So I worked on that in book 2, and with book 3 too, like I started taking some like online writing webinars. I started taking like marketing webinars and loved them. And then when I got really into book 3, I just felt like pantsing wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for the characters I had, and everything that I had learned through those webinars just felt like it wasn't connecting. So my assistant, Kristen, who is my like left brain is what I call her, she's like, you're just going to have to redo your process. You're going to have to figure out something different. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you're right. So I started, which I'm terrible ADHD. And so the idea of plotting just freaked me out. I didn't, because so many of them were so rigid. Not rigid, that's the wrong word, that's too harsh, but some of them were so strict. And not that those ideas don't work, but they weren't working for me. It felt like I couldn't get it. So I just took bits and pieces of like different plotting strategies and have made my own chaotic, like my plotting document. When I put Kristen in it, she's like, what is this? I'm like, it's there. It makes sense.
It's like a scary Disney ride. Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
Tracks on this.
Yeah. So
it's change.
It really has.
For those who do have ADHD, is it a spreadsheet? Is it Starburst? Is it Notion?
So
like what?
Yeah, she handles my Notion. So she'll take all of this stuff. Kristen handles my Notion, and she'll organize it there. Everything I do pretty much, I know there's some conflicting thoughts on Google Docs, but I like to have Google Docs, especially because I can share them with her. I can share them with like my editors and like my very trusted beta readers or alpha readers. I always call it the wrong one, but my very trusted alpha readers that start like from the beginning. I think it's just so easy for collaboration when it comes into getting quick feedback.
Yeah.
So I do them on Google Docs, and then Kristen kind of takes over the whole like organizing me into Notion and all of that fun stuff, which I'm like, I'm so glad you do this because I cannot, like, I can't do it.
I love Notion, but
Yeah.
it is a steep learning curve. And even if you buy someone's templates, you have to like, it's to me, Notion, I love it,
Yeah.
but I'm going to have like, I don't know, 20 hours to set it all up and get all my stuff in and then go.
It's been, Kristen I called her today. I'm like, you're the smartest cookie in the jar, Kristen. And this, cause she'll just like do it. She was like, I'm coding right now. I'm like, you're so smart, go away. And she'll just kind of whip it together, and it's so great. She's wonderful. We revamp it constantly, like our Notion, because, you know, we're kind of in the process of building up stock images. So like she takes all of our stock images and uploads them into Notion. She's a PA for 3 authors right now. So like she kind of gets us all a big stock photo bundle, and that's always really great that we can access those. But yeah, she really kind of helped me. She's, like I said, she's my left brain. So when we go into like the plotting, she's always on the phone, and I'm like, I'm talking to you, listen. But it is kind of like my plots go from like characters to somewhat of the 3-phased outline with just little bullet points, and then it kind of goes into like POVs. If there's certain scenes I see in a certain POV, then it kind of goes into like what I need to know. So it's like all chaotic, and half of it, you know. And then right before, because when we got started, I called Kristen. I'm like, okay, we have all of this information, and I kind of see it all in my head, but while I love it on a Google Doc, when I sit down to write my first draft, I need like physical write it down notes. So like, this is no one look, but like all right here is like the first 30% of just bullet points of where it needs to go. And that's like the first 30%.
Like a little bit like scenes in a row. Is that kind of what your methodology is?
Yeah. So it's kind of like scenes in a row, whether that scene takes up 2 chapters or 1 chapter or 3 chapters.
Right. Monday they're here. Tuesday they're here. Friday they're there. Right.
Yeah. So essentially that's kind of what we do. I like to call it going from like the first thing is like plotting is my learning my ABCs. My first draft is my A to point Z. And then my second draft is making sure none of the letters are missing. And then my third draft is making sure all of the T's and the I's are there, you know, are crossed and dotted. And then, you know, we're in the editing part. So that's kind of it's kind of a crazy mess, but we get there. We get there.
Well, let me ask you, how long does it take you then to put a book out? So what is the page count or like word count for each novel, and how long does that take you usually?
So I feel like on here lately, I've gotten pretty good with about like a 6-month from start to finish turnaround. That's kind of like my sweet spot. My husband could probably disagree. He's got his headphones in right now, but he'd probably be like, you're an absolute train wreck at the end of the 6 months, because I'm like, I've got to get this done. But I feel like that's the way I thrive.
So do you set
crazy.
So is there like a pre-order you're trying to meet, and that's why it's this big rush at the end, because you set a hard deadline that you can't move?
Yeah, I like to do that to myself.
You're like, I'm a glutton for punishment. Yes.
Because I'm the same way. Like some people can have the idea of like, okay, it has to be done. This is where it gets my husband, because he's someone that's like, okay, it needs to get done, I'll get it done. But if I don't have a deadline to do something, I'll never do it. I will never do it. I will stop and lose all motivation. If I don't have something just holding me to it, it'll fall off. It won't stick. It won't stay.
Okay, so Mollie, can I confess on behalf of many, many authors that I speak to, this is the case. Everybody sets these like pre-order deadlines, and then we all freak out because you think like, I got this. Of course,
I got this.
right. X number of words a day, a week, or whatever. We break it all down. And you're like, yeah, I can write 20,000 words in a week.
I can do that.
Yeah. So we set unrealistic expectations. We dawdle in the beginning, and then it's like pedal to the metal, balls to the wall,
Oh, yeah.
burn this mother down.
And it'll get there.
And there's so many authors. So to me, there's no in between. You either write at your own pace and do everything, and it trudges along slowly, or you're these chaotic, wait till the end, balls to the wall, burn everybody, yell at the kids, kick the dog, and then yeah. There's no in between.
I live for chaos. Like, if it's not chaotic, like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
Why? I can't.
But I think it's so interesting to hear because there's a lot of people that have ADHD, and so to learn, to pull back the curtain and understand, your process, where you started, where you're at now, how it works for you. People really want to know the logistics and tactical side of writing.
Yeah. I love, and I strongly encourage anyone who's potentially starting to write to do those webinars or podcasts, because they're great. They're so great. Melanie Harlow had one, and she focused. She's phenomenal, and she had so many of it wasn't you get into here's how you need to write. It was these are the logistics. She had statistics from, she's got I think close to 35 books out. She had all this data of these are the things that I saw work, and I'm a believer in things having a gray side, but sometimes things are just black and white. And so she was like, I've got this statistic stuff that works, and it really changed my mindset and view on how writing actually is when you read those types of books.
Was she on a podcast? Is that what you're saying?
She did a webinar. I can't remember the title, but I think if you go to her website, I want to say it's on her website.
Well, that's what I was going to back this up, because I don't want to lose this when we get into the marketing section. But I do want to talk about your tactics and what classes or courses you took, because as a new author, there's so many classes. And my criticism for knowledge is one that you can learn a whole lot free on YouTube, or you Google different sources, right? But I want authors that are doing it.
Yeah.
I don't want the author, and this is very kind of egotistical, but if you have 2 books and then you're doing all these courses, but it's the ones I was listening to a podcast, and this author has 88 books out.
Yeah.
I want to hear everything she has to say. She's in the trenches. She has the backlist. Some of her books do terrible. Some of them are, more successful than others. Yeah. Some I just stopped writing the series because it wasn't getting any traction. And as an author, you're like, oh my gosh, I can stop. I don't have to finish the series.
Yeah.
If it's not making me any money. So there's so many lessons when you have these big time authors that do the interviews and they do the webinars, because that's where you really get what works.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Melanie Harlow's I encourage strongly. She's kind of the main one I did. The one that I did for marketing, which I thought was really great, is the book till dawn. I think is her tag. She has so many great stuff for marketing and viewing it that way. She also does lives with I'm making sure I don't get this wrong, Clarissa Broadbent.
Yeah.
And she will talk about her process in that too. When she does lives with her, is if you go watch them back, she'll talk about some of the stuff. Because I feel the thing is, a lot of people want to talk about the right way to write your book. But with the thing that I watched these classes, these were processing things and small little stylistic changes that weren't necessarily don't do this. It was kind of more of learn a different way of looking at it and then go back. I think one of the biggest things that Melanie said in hers was, if you read it back and it sounds like you're reading, try again. Like if
Oh,
it sounds like it's like written out, try again. You need to like read it as if it was an actual memory or like an actual, something that was actually
mhm.
happened. And I thought, well, that's such an interesting way of looking at it instead of, thinking I have to write down what happened.
It really is. And I mean, I feel one of our responsibilities as an author is to constantly be learning and trying to improve your
Yeah,
craft. And it's challenging. And
it
there's
is.
so many different ways that we write. Everybody's voice and tone comes through differently. Some people have like long narratives. Some people
Yeah,
have banter. Some people have short sentences. Some use adverbs, adjectives. It's
yeah,
just some people are loaded with dialogue tags. Other people don't use dialogue tags. And I think as an indie, it's nice to be able to have that. It's very liberating to be able to have that. But at some point, you have to figure out what authors you like. Because I
yeah.
looked up some authors and I just don't like their style.
And they
Not
don't. And that's,
nothing wrong with that. It's just you're not a good fit. It's kind of like, dating to find a
yeah.
mate.
Absolutely. I've gotten a couple that have said like her writing style is just not my style. Like her stories aren't bad, but her writing style is just not my style.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. I think those are always like fair. Like, yeah, I am not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. Have to be. I don't like everybody and everything, so why do I
Those are
expect
the
you
criticisms.
to?
Yeah, we'll accept those criticisms in the review because
Yeah.
I always I have the first book in each of my series for free because I want to see, like, do you like the way I write? Do you like the way I
Mhm.
assemble a story? And if it's
Yeah.
not for you, you haven't wasted any of your dollars
Yeah.
on my book.
Yeah.
So I think I will always do first in series free, just because I like to give that to people.
Yeah.
Like we all go to the mall and try on your clothes and you see if they're a good fit or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
No, I like that idea a lot, especially like as I grow and my backlist grows with me, kind
Yeah.
of doing that fun stuff because it is in the sense, like I'm trying this on. I might not like this style and that's okay. You don't have to.
Oh, and as a romance author, when we talk about, we're just talking about one component
Yeah.
style. When you talk about open door,
Close
closed
the,
door, how,
oh yeah.
the chili pepper rating. I mean, what you think is spicy, the next person's like, well, it's not that spicy.
I
So that
good for
me,
my second one. It was hysterical. Back to back, there's 2 3 stars that were back to back at the
Mhm.
time that had like one of them said that the spice was just way too spicy. It was like 5 stars. They did not like it. It was too much. And the one below it says spice is very vanilla, good for people starting out with spice. They're both back to back. And I'm like, if this doesn't prove that reading is subjective, I don't know what would.
I have one book. I know what you're saying exactly because I have one book, and in the review it says this is erotica,
Yeah.
and I was like, and then the rest is just like, yeah, I mean, it's like a 2 or a 3. I don't think I have any that say this is like a 5. This is like, she
Oh
crossed
yeah.
the line. But you're right. You have one that's like, this is cute, and the other one's like, this is erotica. Okay, I don't know which it is.
I don't know. That's like when people message me like, "What's the spicy level?" I'm like, I've gotten a 1 to a 5. I really don't.
Yeah.
I would like to say it's like a 2.5. I feel like some of my books are, I think book 2 is probably the spiciest, but I've also gotten a lot of spice for book 3, but I've also gotten like, it's had the broadest spectrum. Book 3 has had the broadest spectrum. I've had a 1 to, I think, a 4.5
Yeah.
in book 3. And I'm
I'll,
like, I don't know what number this is.
I'll let you judge that. I mean, that's for
Yeah.
you to decide. But that's why I do the first in series. So then they can just see. Okay, so it's usually 6 months. And I appreciate you telling us about those writing courses because if people are on here watching, are aspiring authors, it's good because I feel like there's a whole lot of noise. There's a whole lot of people that have programs. And
Yeah.
we've all done it, thrown good money after bad on programs, and then you get into it and they're really proud of their price, but it doesn't actually equal the content.
Yeah.
So, and I think too, sometimes you have to just get on the road of being an author to figure out what you do need. Like, you don't
What
know
you
what
do
you
need.
know until you need it.
Yeah.
I feel like that is so true.
It is. It's about what you do need. And a lot of why I even also chose Melanie Harlow's classes because like I read her and she is one of my top. So I also was, like you said, you have to think back on who we love to read.
Yeah.
And for authors, I would think the same. Like they might not have a writing course, but if you kind of look into some of their stuff, they might, suggest some others because that I think was the best part of it was that she was someone that I've read tons of her books and admire her work and I love her work. And then to learn from her was, I think, what impacted the most too.
Well, you hit it on the head. There are some authors that do have classes and programs to supplement their book income. But then you also have those authors that only publish books. So like, I'm not interested in teaching or courses. I got my publication schedule. I got, fans waiting on this book, book 4 over here, 6 over there. And then you have those that don't do barely any interviews. They're in the trenches, they have their funnels, they have their marketing. And so it's a wide variety. So you're right. Just because you may like one style, they're not doing courses or they're not doing podcasts or, so you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on the baseball series, you said it's usually 6 months. We talked about the deadline. So on the baseball series, where are you at in that 6-month process with your book 1?
We're in the first draft, like starting first draft in that process now. So my plan tentatively is February.
To release,
which I'm like, what is that? August, September, October, November, December, January. February would be 6. I I like to give myself that deadline, but I also like to mentally tell myself because pre-orders aren't up yet. So I will kind of give myself like, okay, you have this deadline, but there's a second one in there, but that one's the dead if we ain't getting there. Like that's a non-negotiable. But I pretty much think I should be able to do the February, but the latest would be like March. So
okay, so I was going to ask you, is it February is the drop dead and so January is the first one or vice versa?
February is my goal. February is my intention. March is like, this isn't funny, you're doing this. I have the this isn't funny, you're doing this idea for February, but there's like a second person in the back of my head that's like, but if you're actually going to like have a little mental breakdown, we can do March.
So it's like the devil and the angel.
Yeah, that's an accurate representation of the voices in my head.
The angel's like, protect your mental health. We can slow it down. And the devil's like, get it done.
Get it done, actually. Like, who are you? What are you doing?
Well, let me ask you this, though. Do you write full time? I know you're married. You said you have a family.
I do. This has been, to say that August has been an absolute life-changing month for me, like, it's insane. I officially, so a year ago on August 1st was when I published Feel It All. This year on August 1st, I officially became a full-time author. So publishing the first 3 books, in those like 6 months timeline, I worked a full-time job and had kids and, I have 2 children, a husband, we have 3 dogs, like our life is a mess. So part of me feels like I'm a little afraid that I'm either going to knock this out in like a month because I'll be doing this full time, or I'm going to be too distracted by not having like I'm going to have too much time on my hands for my ADHD, but
you're a writing boss now.
I am. So, and then as I decided to become a full-time author and, quit my corporate girly job, you always get that fear of like,
what did I just
do? And which, of course, naturally, as authors, we all know that like our royalties are not guaranteed ever. So I like to preface this with, I understand that this month could be just this month. Next month is going to be different, whether it's higher or lower. But I have outmade my corporate job. Like, I've almost made like 2 months worth of my corporate job income.
Wow. In August alone.
In August, from release alone. Yeah.
Actually, oh yeah, because that was what, August 9th?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, that's been like what, 11 days, 12 days?
Yeah.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
And then I've had 2 other very exciting things, but I'm not allowed to speak about them yet. I'm very excited. It's been absolutely just incredible.
Okay, so to ask the question that everybody wants to know, how did you do it? Because that is everyone's dream, is to become a full-time writer.
Yeah.
But what works for one doesn't work for the next. And, you have some people that have 10, 12, 15 books out, and they can't do that.
Yeah. So this kind of goes into the whole can and can't control again, I like to say. And then the idea of like, so what you can't control your happiness. So like those bad reviews, you can't control them. Don't let them affect you, because in reality, like when I do look at my Goodreads, I think right now I don't like to consider 3 stars really a bad review. I consider it a little mixed. But essentially if I'm just looking at bad, it's like 2 to 1. And in reality, I have like 20 to 30 compared to like 8 to, around 1,800 range of good reviews. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, just throw those out the door. Why do they even matter? Yeah. Don't listen to them. Not don't listen to them, but like, don't let them affect your happiness. You are not a bad writer. But when you go into like, okay, what's working for me and what's not, mm-hmm. What can I do? What can I do to change? So with book 2, I really saw, okay, like, well, with book 1, I saw what can I do to improve my writing? And so I worked on that, and I really kind of started implementing some of that in book 2 and saw some return. And then I was like, okay, I want to now try to, 1, continue my writing, but I want to try to learn marketing. So like I would start taking those marketing classes. I started like really sticking to a set schedule on like Instagram, and started really kind of learning things that worked and things that didn't work. And like I would take notes, and like I think on my planner, I'm a little behind because it's been a bit of a crazy day and I have to watch what's on my planner. But like on my TikToks, I have 3 times a day and each data on the views on what I did and what worked.
Analytics,
which I did. I was able to hire a girl to help me with TikTok, which has been great. And because I didn't know about TikTok, and she was like, let me help you. And so she helped teach me, but I still post probably like 80% of my videos. Mm-hmm. So, it's like a learning curve. And so it was just whenever I did get to this, I know a lot of people have like told me here lately that I just got lucky, which luck is a part of it, but not all. I put in like I put in new strategies. I put in, a lot of work to it, and I like tried different things and really looked into what wasn't working. I saw with book 1, like, this isn't working. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have anything to do with, outside readers. I can fix these things. These are things that I can fix. So I just was like, I'm going to try. I'm going to do something different. I like to think there's Ross in my head that's like, pivot. So every time something's not working, I'm like, okay, we're going to pivot. That's what we're just going to pivot and try something different. And if it doesn't work, then we'll keep going. So, and I do have to credit, the growth is unreal. She's been so happy with how my marketing's been going lately, and it feels so good.
What, is MK part of your team?
I love her. Yeah, she is part of my permanent team, but she is just the cutest I love her. We're actually not very far apart, like location wise, and she just came down to Knoxville, which is close to me, and I was like, I have to see you. So we went and met up, and I love her. But she beta read my second book, mm-hmm. And at that time, she was like, I loved it. And I was like, well, I'll send you a PR box. And then we bloomed from there.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's exactly how teams and support are made.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of communication, because I have to attest that some of the success that I have gotten is that some of these incredible people with the connections that I've made have been sharing, my book. And I had a couple of people do their reels and reviews go viral. So on top of my stuff having kind of a little good traction, their stuff took off too, which is always incredible. Like I can't even express like how much those help, because authors, we could scream in people's face and be like, read my book, but nothing quite makes you pick up a book like another reader. So those are always.
TikTok? Is that what you're talking about?
One was on Instagram, and then 2 were on TikTok. And then this is where I do think I had a little bit of luck play in, is that the algorithm kind of took off on quite a few TikToks.
Yeah.
Because we can't control the algorithm, but I can control what I put in to the algorithm. And, when I see a certain style or a certain hook working, I'll kind of like take those, and then I'll kind of, keep up with those, and then make notes if they perform better this way or perform worse this way, and then kind of go back into that. And it's like, okay, this didn't work. What can I do to fix it? Or this did work. Could I make it work again a different way? Yes or no. So I love to learn. This sounds very nerdy.
Not at all, but I was going to say it's impressive because as authors, we wear so many hats. And so you're doing a deep dive on social media analytics. And that's one of the most challenging things. I feel like authors, we can work on craft, we can work on newsletters, and some of the other things, but social media is what a lot of authors struggle with.
It is. And Instagram, their recent update really kind of hit me for a curve. And so I'm back in the same seat. Like I was getting anywhere from, 5,000 to, I think over the past couple months, like I had almost 1 million views on one in April, which
that's huge.
And it was huge. It was great. And which now mine this past week have all gotten under 5,000 with this update. So I'm like, okay, what are we going to do different? Because this style I was doing isn't really working. So we're going to pivot again and see which ones work.
Pivot.
We're pivoting. We're going to pivot again. So it's been kind of just I think it was in the marketing class. I'll have to pull it up because this was what I.
Hold on, your sound went out, or maybe you're frozen. Oh, you're frozen. Hello? Okay, you're frozen.
Oh no.
Okay, there you go. Hold on, she's frozen again. There we go.
Am I back? Okay, I don't know what happened. Both of my laptop and phone froze. I don't know what happened. We can't hear you, Mollie. I'm very sorry. Didn't mean to. But one of the things that she loved and I thought was really kind of cool was
marketing class. You were saying the marketing class, and then that's when it froze.
Yeah, she said, where was it at?
Is this Melanie Harlow?
This was the book Till Dawn, which I strongly.
Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Is that a website or is it a Facebook group? Or?
She has Instagram, so she's Bookstagram, and it's like Book Till Dawn, and you can follow her Instagram and then go to her website. And she said, let's see.
Because I hear so many concerns from authors, they cannot move the needle on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
It is crazy. So she said the 3 things you must have to monetize your business. And what I love about hers is that she views all of this as a business front. Like everything's business. And I love that style. She says you need visibility, good quality, and good skills. Mm-hmm. And you have to have all 3 to make it work. And what I love about that is sometimes it seems so harsh because you think, oh, well, it's my books. And they'll be like, oh, you could have great books, but your visibility isn't there. So what can you do to fix that and focus on that? And, you know, do it that way. And then it was like, you could have visibility and good skills, but, you know, like the good quality is not there, whether it's kind of, you know, your book cover fell apart a little bit. And that's kind of out of our hands with Amazon when it goes into like damage with those parts. So that part's a little out of our hands at times, but you know, some of those things, you know, you kind of try to catch those if you do them in your store and whatnot. So I just thought that was such an interesting way to look at it. It's like, okay, if this stuff isn't working, I'm going to figure out which one I need to change, and I'm going to change it.
So with social media marketing, how many hours are you on social media a day then?
Hey, this is live. That was my husband's laugh. A lot.
I was going to say, because it would be a lot just to like catch the right times, catch the comments and the engagement, and then try to participate in the groups.
Yeah. It is a lot. I think a lot of what I want to implement as doing this full time would be a little bit more prioritizing the times that I allot for social media and the times I allot for writing and the times I allot for family. Like I think a lot of it also kind of seems like you got to post every single day, but I don't post on Saturdays. I'll post on TikTok on Saturdays, but I try to, like, Friday, I'll like try to make all three that I would post on TikTok. Or well, Courtney posts one on Saturday, so I would just make the two that I'm in charge of, and then that way when I get on, I would just, they're ready, I'll just click post and then I'll leave.
Oh.
And so I've tried to allow those to be like, and then I won't post to Instagram at all on Saturdays. So I try to make sure that those are balanced, because I also don't want to burn out on this.
And it's easy to do, right?
It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do, to burn out. And I think that part of the way I see it as the change of like the pivoting also helps, because it kind of helps keep me seeing different numbers and different results from those things, that it kind of keeps that burnout away, because I'm constantly learning and constantly doing something different to try to make that algorithm work for me.
Yeah, I know, and that's like the mystery that everyone's trying to figure out.
And I'm not saying I definitely have figured it out by any means, but I feel like the difference that I have had from book 1 to book 3 has just been an astronomical change. I mean, astronomical change.
So aside from social media marketing, what other tactics have worked for you?
That's really been my main focus, is social media. So typically I did Instagram, Pinterest, and then now into TikTok. For future, especially this year coming up, 2025, like I have 2 book conventions that I'm going to, which I'm very excited about. They're in the fall. I'll be at Romantically Yours and Tennessee LitCon, so I think those will be really great. I am going down in September to Orlando to do like a small house signing, not house, but like with some local authors there that I'll be doing. So a lot of what I'm going to mix in now that I'm full-time is like signings. So I want to set up some more local ones for the spring, and then I have the conventions in the fall, which I'm very excited for. So I want to kind of work in some of that stuff to do there. I will continue, obviously, Instagram and TikTok, and then some Pinterest. But Pinterest is so low maintenance. So if anyone also is looking for a low maintenance, do Pinterest. It's very low maintenance.
Oh my God, this is what the Threads was about.
Oh yeah.
What?
I'm very excited. I'm going to be seeing both Danny Crooks and Haley Dickert down there. I'm very, very, very excited. We're going to have some fun signings, and it's going to be like a weekend of fun.
I mean, it's lovely because then you can learn, you can promote yourself, you can meet your readers. It gets you like time and space away from the family, just to, you know, on your author craft. I mean, that's going to be a blast.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited, and I think that that's also going to be a really fun thing. Oh, I'm not going to be a signing author, but I'll be at Bluegrass, is it Authors in the Bluegrass in October with Kristen. We're pulling a Uno reverse, and me and Danny are going to be her assistants at her table for her vendor.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's so
I think
fun though.
I think it's going to be so fun. And I think those are always fun because you get into, and I love stuff like this, like lives are fun because I think a lot of also with authoring is networking. Literally every business I've been in requires networking. And so I think those are always such, even though you might not necessarily see monetary outcome, you see the connections can have the equal or greater value in the long run. So I think those are always good to have, and I'm excited to start really focusing on those.
Well, because when you fall into the Bookstagram or Book Talk community, I mean, there's so much fun, there's so much love, there's so much support, there's so many people, in my experience, that they do want to see you do well. They do want to be a leader. They do want to help you. And when you find your alphas and betas, they're taking their time out to read your works, and usually for free. They're more than happy to give you insight and help you out. I mean, it's just like a beautiful experience.
It is. It really is. It's incredible. And, Haley Dickert's wonderful, incredible. And she always says that, authors are coworkers, not competition. And I think that that's always just so true and fun to see that, I was messaging also Sarah Bailey, who is also incredible. And we both have had some really cool things happen here lately, and I message her. I'm like, I'm just so happy we're doing this at the same time. This just makes me so happy.
Well, and I always say this. I have some readers, or I have some ARC and Alpha readers, and oh my gosh, they will read 100, 200 books a year.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm amazed. There's no author in the world that can have that kind of output, and so there's always a seat at the table for everybody. That's what I encourage people. If you are an avid reader and you think I want to try my hand at writing, oh my gosh, do it. Do it. It's kind of difficult being an author, right? You have to, since you said you're a perpetual learner.
Yes.
I think it's perfect. You literally have to be.
Yeah.
Just because we're constantly having to learn, figure it out, test the market, pivot when it doesn't work, figure out marketing strategies. And so something, you may get a win over here and you get a loss over there. It's constantly growth, learning, and elevating.
Absolutely. Because I want to take the idea of okay, this release was great. Okay, now we're at the end. Let's analyze what can we do to make the next one better. What can we do to make the next one better? Because I think the idea that here on out it's going to be good is just not true.
Oh yeah.
For me, I feel like it's something that you just gotta, we're in this for the long haul.
Well,
so let's do it.
Mentor, and she just put out, I think, her 45th book. She releases a book a month. I know. I have to, her pretty frequently, and I don't know how you do it. Your eyeballs just bleed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I know. And so they're 70 to 88,000 words. So it's not like they're little. Yeah, they're full books. A book a month. And they're all different series. And so she's billionaire, she has mafia, she has bikers.
Yeah.
There's another military men. So they're diverse. And I always ask her, and she says, yeah, not all my series are knocking it out.
Yeah.
I'll write a series, and I'll get 3 books in, and it just doesn't do what I think it's doing. And so she goes, that's it. It'll just be 3 books. Yeah. And then I plan that'll be a 3-book series, and maybe Mafia's hot or Billionaire's hot. And now I'm on my 12th billionaire book, and I'm just this is, so she's constantly pivoting, yet she has this amazing success. Yep. But yet she's not all my readers want to read my vampire series. If they're a billionaire, they want to see the billionaire world. They don't want to cross over to vampires. But I thought it was interesting because she doesn't let that stop her. She'll keep writing vampires. She doesn't want vampires.
I think that's great. And I think a lot of kind of just from talking really shows that sometimes whatever works for you works for you. You know? If it's working for you, then it's working. Don't hate on it.
But it's very similar what you're saying to what she says. You know, like she's not afraid to cut bait and try new or to stop or pivot.
We're just gonna pivot. It's fine. I'll just send. I can't tell you how many times I've sent the Ross meme yelling pivot. I think that's what we're doing. That's where we're at.
Okay, I feel like we could talk like easily another hour. This hour has gone by like, girl.
I love to talk. I love to talk.
So, we have to book a part 2 to this because there's just so much you have going on, and we hardly.
No.
I think it's so valuable what you're talking about with like struggling with mental health, with writing with ADHD. Yeah. I want to hear more about how like your new schedule would go.
Yeah.
Because making that transition from corporate to now working for yourself and entrepreneurship, that's a huge transition. I know it literally just happened. So maybe catch up in a couple months. I can be like, okay.
Where are we at? Are you behind on your deadline? How behind?
Exactly. Pivot. So you did a hard pivot, Ross. Where are we at?
Yeah. Yeah. Where are we at? What are we up to? What have we learned?
Exactly. And how your continues to grow. So we're going to have to book a part 2.
I think that would be great.
Yes. Do you have time for rapid fire questions?
Let's do
it. All right.
I do.
No pressure. Okay. Do you prefer reading paperback or e-reader?
E-reader. I have kids. Paperbacks get damaged if they leave that bookshelf.
That is so true. Plus, when you have kids, you have to have like their bag packed with their crayons and coloring books, and then you have because you know where you're going to be like in car line, the doctor's office. You never know.
Yep, they're going to get damaged. They're going to get colored on. They're going to get spilt on food. I love them. I wish I could, but for right now, it's my Kindle.
Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I'm primarily a plotter now, with a hint of the ADHD pantsing, but it's like 75% plot, 25% ADHD pantsing.
I love that. Do you write in first person or third person?
First person.
Present tense or past?
Present.
Okay. Are you plot driven or character driven?
Character.
I love that. Do you write alone, write with a partner, or write in writing sprints?
So a little bit between writing. I feel like I do a little bit of both. Like I write my books myself, but I'll do like sprints with a group, or I'll call Danny and be like, we're going to write right now. Me and you. Or sometimes I'll just do a solo write, and I'll just set a time. I have my husband. He's the biggest supporter. He got me this little digital timer.
I like the method.
Yeah. Like I'll just be like, I'm going to write for this long, and then it'll go, and it's silent, or you can set a noise.
That's so cute. Is that on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It was like $10, $15. They have different colors. He got me green, and it's adorable. It goes up to an hour, and you can do silent, or it has a timer. I would show you, or like it has a ding. I would show you the ding, but the kids are asleep, and absolutely not.
Kids are down. We are not waking them back up.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So who is Danny? You said you write with Danny. Who's Danny?
So Danny's my bestie. I love her wholly. So she actually has, if you're a fantasy girly or fantasy lover, anyone, however you, if you just love fantasy, her fantasy comes out September 13th, Friday the 13th.
Okay, tell us her name, her pen or author name or pen name, and then what is that book?
So it's Danny Crook's author, so DANYCROOK, and then author. The cruelest, best woman ever. So true. She is so much fun. We're both so different, but like the same.
It works.
It works. Oh, okay, Kristen dropped her little tag.
Crook.
Yeah. And it's so good. Are you reading? Oh, MK, you're gonna have to message both me and her. But she's got a fantasy, and she's so fun. I slid into her DMs over a year ago, and I said the same. I said, I want to do a live, and I am so scared, and I feel like me and you just have very similar personalities. Do you want to do a live with me? And she was like, yes. And we got so drunk. She was like, let's get a bottle of wine, and we both drank our whole bottle, and got so tipsy. And we talked for like 2 hours, and then she was like, I think we're like best friends, and we've been best friends ever since. She's flying down to me for her release, so we're gonna have a whole release weekend for me and her. I'm so excited. Yeah, and then we're going down to Orlando to do her first signing with like a group signing, and I'm so excited. But yeah, sometimes I'll just call her. But we talked about Tennessee Lit. We asked if they would put us right next to each other, like our booths. Because her whole aesthetic and vibe is just so like, she's the black cat and I'm the golden retriever. So like we have thought of so many like videos that we want to do where it's like her whole aesthetic's going to be like dark and like deep and rich, and like, you know, she loves like that whole kind of spooky vibe, and she, you know, it's going to be, I think Tennessee Lit's in like late September or October, I can't remember. You know, so she's like, I want to go all out on like the whole dark and daggers and fantasy, and I'm like, I want pink and I want colors and flowers. And she's like, oh my God.
As we have Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be us.
You'll have your own. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be us.
Okay, so you write with Danny Crooks. Well, Danny Crooks, author.
Yeah.
It's outline of discovery writer. You said now you're an outline writer.
Yes.
Do you write in silence or with music?
It depends. Here lately, I have to have silence, but if this is weird, I'll listen to white noise. I'll listen to brown and pink noise are the top two that I'll listen to.
Like static?
Yeah. So, like, if you go on Spotify, I was like, "Where's my phone?" I'm listening to it.
Hey girl.
Hey girl.
On it.
I listen to like pink noise, you just type in pink noise, and it's like, it's not necessarily static, but like if you play white noise for a baby to get them to sleep, and pink and brown are like the top ones for focus. So I'll put those on, especially if things are a little loud in the house. Or like I'll listen to classical music.
Oh yeah, I love classical because it's just so easy, right?
It's so easy.
It's immersive too, because if you're writing like, you know, a romance scene and you want something, I mean, some of the classical can be like super sexy.
Yep, that's what I was about to say. It really depends on the scene itself if I'm digging into the classic.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. So you come with so many times. We didn't even talk about to write with kids around.
Yeah, I love to listen to, pink is my favorite, but brown noise sometimes I'll change it up a little bit.
Okay, we're all gonna Google that after this. Write with a deadline or at your own pace.
Deadline.
And a frantic deadline.
With the two angels on my shoulders.
I know, but this time, since now you're going to be full-time, maybe you won't have that hectic ending.
That's my goal and my husband's hope.
Have you drafted like a preliminary schedule, or like do you have something in mind how it will work?
I have kind of something in mind. My kind of goal is for me to really kind of get it in the hands of editing in like the beginning of November-ish. So that way I can really start going into, because I like to kind of have a little bit of a longer editing process. And which of course by the editing process, I'm on like draft 3. So
I hate rewrites.
Yeah, I hate rewrites too. So, and then I like to have a little bit of time for that. And then usually I like to have, so if it releases in February, which I have a date in mind, but I'm not saying it out loud because
that's a secret.
Well, it's a secret, but it would make it too real.
And don't anyone on here pressure you, because I see these comments are like, win.
I know they're all real. Everybody's been a little mad at me. Not mad. They're excited at the exciting news I've had, and I'm really hoping I can share soon. So I'm very excited. But I've gotten a lot of messages this past like day, and they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I can't tell."
Well,
They all know I hate secrets.
Joke. It's set out of love that everybody is
Yeah,
pressured because they just want
they
more. And what I
just want more. I know, and I always take it in the good way. I'm
yeah.
like, listen, I want to tell you. Like, I want to. I want to tell you. So I'm very excited about how that's going to go. But
Yeah, she's in the comments. Tell
tell
me.
me, I know. I want to. I want
Dun
to.
dun dun. Soon enough.
Soon enough. Yes.
Um, okay, do you write series or standalones?
I like interconnected standalones. I want you to, so I want you to read any book, any single book in any order. I want you to pick it up and know that you can read it in any order. And then those other characters, you'll be like, oh, I love them. And then I'm going to go back and read. So.
Your comments are blowing up. Everybody's like, sweet. Kristen.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, last question. Historical setting, present day or future?
Present day, I feel like that's kind of, I feel like I always get lost in that because it is essentially present day, but when I'm really kind of like, if I dig too much in the year timeline, I think I'm in the future.
Oh,
Like
with the new series you've written so far that you're in the future
well,
now?
from book 2 to 3 has a 5-year time jump.
Oh, yeah.
So essentially, I have Kat Summers is another contemporary author, and she was like, the best way for you to think about it is book 1 is year 0.
Yeah.
Like you could like that's year 0, and so technically, I'm book 5, not book 5. Goodness, book 4. No, book 3 ends like at year 5, and then the baseball series will also pick up at that year 5 and then go from there.
Girl, you're like, I'm not gonna make this easy on myself.
No, I don't like to do that. Why would I do such a thing?
No, you're like, if it is hard and grueling, sign me up.
Yeah.
If it is easy, I don't want to be a part of it.
I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of that.
There's an author, and she's so funny. She's like, because she produces a lot, I think she has like 30 books out there. And she's like, girl, I don't know. I listened to her podcast. She's like, girl, I don't know. What I do is she goes like, let's say it's August. It's August.
That's me.
In November. She's like, so you know what? I'm just going to write Thanksgiving now, and it's going to come out Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And that's how she sets her books. Is she's like, I don't want to have to figure out a timeline. I don't want to have to figure out, like, oh, I'm in year 5, and then this one. She's like, too complicated. I got too many books out there.
I feel like that's definitely where I will be headed. Like, this book is this book. I don't know what year it is.
Well, you said Kristen has this amazing Notion set up for you. So you're like, I'm sure Kristen has the timeline.
She can write it all out for me.
No.
She can write it all out. She's got it.
You're over there writing like it's happening in October, and she's like, no, it's actually like opening spring season, opening baseball, and you're writing it, and you're like, oh, okay, let me just go back and rewrite it.
Well, Danny, what was I tagged for? I'm hiding in the work cooler. I was talking about how much I absolutely love and adore you. Yeah, she is a bartender, and she's the coolest person ever.
Oh, dang.
I was bragging on you because I love you so much.
Yeah, she's talking about how you guys are super duper besties and that you're going to be hanging out. Oh, yeah.
We do love you.
That's so sweet. All right. Well, I'm going to be sliding in your DMs to book for, I think I'm booking into December now. It's so crazy.
It's crazy how time flies.
No, I feel like this year is like, it was like January, February, and then like August.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
And that's, which it's a little funny because too, I had a little bit of that panic moment too. Whenever I announced the next series, we really kind of only had the plot, which we had it pretty heavily plotted.
Mhm.
But I posted about it, and then all of a sudden I was like, huh, I only have like, I'm gonna blink and it's gonna be here to publish. So I called Kristen and I was like, hey, I'm kind of freaking out. And she was like, because you've announced this and you need to start writing. I was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, you need to do that. Like, okay.
Anyway, I wish you the best of luck and congratulations on this huge step to becoming a
Thank
full.
you.
That is a big
Thank,
deal. And
thank you.
I'm so glad that your numbers are there, that, you know, enabled
Yes.
you to leave corporate America. I mean, and all these beautiful relationships you have, these beautiful friendships and support team. It's wonderful.
It's been incredible. Everyone is so amazing.
Yay. Okay, well, I'm going to catch up with you in the
Yes.
and so ciao for now.
Bye.